All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Legends Library. I am Cade,
And I'm Keith, frequent guest here.
and Star Wars Theory thinks that he can change our opinion of Anakin's fall in 3 minutes. But can he? You'll have to stick around to find out.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And so, now jumping right into it, he basically starts off, and we're just going to go point by point. We just have some points on a Word document up in front of us on our laptops. And basically, his first big point is that Anakin's fall is over 3 movies and the Clone Wars TV show. But I don't think anyone would really doubt that. I think the main point that people have a problem with is Anakin's fall happens so rapidly in Revenge of the Sith itself, not so much that it isn't like a prolonged thing.
Right. I feel like the whole lead up to Anakin's fall is perfect. Pretty much perfect, right. I think it's perfect right up until he chops off Mace's hand.
I think it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense from a story perspective. I think it would help maybe a bit more if if Lucas could write better dialogue. But no, I definitely see what you're getting at, and I think that's a pretty common thing that people have to say about it too. Is that up until the scene where they're in the Chancellor's office, it's going pretty good because Anakin's having I don't know. Some people say they're subtle. I don't think they're subtle because obviously the first big thing he does is slaughters the village of Tusken Raiders down to the child, which I don't think is very... Yeah, and the women and the children. So I don't really think that's quite subtle, but no, it is showing that he is progressing and that he's willing to do these dark and evil and twisted things.
Yeah, definitely. And with a good reason at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the entirety of Clone Wars in probably 3 or 4 years. I think the last time it was on Netflix is the last time I've ever seen the whole thing through. So, but even then, I don't remember him doing an outrageously amount of dark side stuff in it. I know he force chokes some people, and
it's very sparsely sprinkled throughout the series. I think most of the dark stuff comes in season 7 when he does some straight he murders the spider guy. I think.
Trench.
Yes, Admiral Trench.
Yeah, so he kills him, but I don't know, when pretty much the worst thing that he's done is murder the Tuskens, and I guess obviously the stuff in Clone Wars I guess is supposed to be more subtle and nuanced and stuff, but as far as the movies go, it is definitely rushed, especially in 3, because Anakin really only starts doing dark stuff in 2, and then the next time we see him and Obi-Wan are flying in their Jedi starfighters, they're chirping with each other.
Yeah, they've been through the whole war, on the front lines for years, and they're basically brothers and stuff. But Anakin definitely matures over the course of just the Clone Wars, not the Clone Wars TV show. I would say you get a better progression of his turning to the dark side in the comics and the Clone Wars 2003 series. They address him killing all those Tuskens in a really good way in the comics, I think.
Yeah, because it's with Oshrat Het.
Yeah,
that was really great. Because then we get the character development for both characters. But unfortunately, like I said, if you're just talking about the movies, then yeah, we're lacking.
Or canon.
Or yeah, maybe, I don't know, because I don't read any of the new stuff. But no. So do you have anything to kind of say any more on that first point? Because I think we're pretty much in agreement, I guess, with Star Wars Theory that yeah, it's not an immediate fall.
No, I'd say it's a slow turn, but like, yeah, I guess our issue is when he finally makes the big turn. It's a little rushed.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so then the second part, or the second point, excuse me, that we got up here is he makes this weird claim that this whole thing was like basically because of Anakin's like entire life, and he brings up some weird points about how like Anakin, when he was a kid, he never had hope and he was a slave. And I guess my big point on that is, and it always has been, and always will be, that like Anakin, like, again, like just looking at the movies, he doesn't have like a terrible childhood. Like obviously he's a slave, which isn't like great, but Watto, like, there's that scene in episode 1 where he's like, oh, go clean the racks and then you can go home, and Anakin like jumps off the counter and yippee. Like
Yeah.
when you see Anakin, if they removed any lines from episode 1 saying that Anakin is a slave, you would not know he's a slave. Like he acts like any other 10-year-old kid. Like he's like a cocky 10-year-old kid.
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
Yeah, like if you take out all those lines about like that, like you would never guess that he's a slave, because George Lucas isn't really a master of show don't tell.
Yeah, you would think he was just some little kid, little poor kid, but I mean, obviously he lives on Tatooine, which sucks, and then of course being a slave, but he's got friends. He races in pod races. He builds pods. He builds droids. He's got a lot going on for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, geez, when I was a kid, like, if I didn't take the dishes out of the dishwasher, like, oh, I can't do anything. And Anakin gets to run around and build robots and fly around a space car. So I think that definitely is a big point that, a lot of people who are like, well, Anakin had this super hard childhood. Well, like, again, like in the movies, you don't ever see that. And then he also, Star Wars theory, has this point that Anakin never had hope. But like, literally when he's like, it's when he's talking to Qui-Gon, right? When he's like, he's talking about, oh, how many systems are there? And, Qui-Gon says, oh, there's a fucking billion, you dumbass. And, and then Anakin's like, he's like super hyped about it. He's like, I'm going to be the first one to see them all. And
yeah, his dream was to be a Jedi, and he got to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, at the end of the day, like, it didn't turn out, but like he got to do like what he wanted. Like, that's the equivalent of like me when I was 9 years old. I'm like, oh, I want to be a rock star. And then like 30 minutes later, Slash shows up at my door and he's like, hey kid, I'm going to take you to LA and we're going to be rock stars. Like,
right. And then you get into like you have to like pilot a rock van all by yourself and blow up a stadium from the inside.
Yeah, blow up the Jonas Brothers tour bus from the inside.
Ah, yes.
But no, like, and again, like, this is where I think people really try and, like, I guess maybe, I think you had mentioned it when we were chatting before, while we were kind of taking some of these notes, in that, like, I think some people might be projecting onto Anakin a little bit, and obviously, of course, I'm not saying that Star Wars theory projects onto Anakin, obviously you aren't either, but, like, it seems like, I don't know, like, I've never thought that Anakin had, like, a terrible life, and I don't know if that's because I didn't have, like, I had, like, a really normal, boring childhood, I guess.
It's very easy to, like, take a character and you could kind of just put your own, like, spin on their life and their emotions, but it doesn't make it true,
Yeah, and
like obviously Anakin he's like, in just throughout the whole Star Wars thing, Anakin is resentful about being a slave, but I mean, like, like a little bit, but it's not a huge thing,
Yeah, like, in episode, like, after episode 1, it doesn't, and again, this is just in the movies, we're just talking about the movies here for the most part. Well, I've obviously referenced other stuff, but for the most part, the biggest thing that people complain about Anakin's fall is not from, like, comic books, it's not from novels, it's from the movies. So, and I'm going to keep stressing that, like, to the grave, but, like,
because we've talked about this before, the movies are the ultimate canon.
yeah, the movies are the movies. Like, it's like, yeah, they probably could have been better, but guess what? Lucas wrote Anakin the way he did. He is the way he is, and Anakin is not this like depressed person who's like constantly just upset about his lot in life. Like we've said, like he's a regular like 9-year-old kid with a crappy bowl cut.
Yeah, and then like moving into like episode 2, he has a romance with Padme. If he was like a little creepy, depressed person, he probably wouldn't want anything to do with her or whatever, or he'd just be a mope.
Yeah, exactly.
He's able to be happy with her.
Yeah, so like this whole thing that like Anakin, like, I don't know, like it's a little much for me, and I think that his point here where Anakin doesn't have any hope and it's all premeditated because of his life, like I think that's way off base personally. And reading lines that aren't there in between lines that are there.
Right. There was even like a comment on the video that said something like that, like Star Wars theory reads between the lines. Like, no, he just kind of pulls stuff out of thin air.
Yeah, like it doesn't work, in my opinion. And so with that, next Star Wars series, and I took a quote here, typed it up while I was watching the video. He says his mom, obviously referring to Anakin, died because he was not powerful enough. The Jedi hold him back and don't teach him what he needs to know. And then later he says they, obviously the Jedi, hold back his power. And then later they say, later Star Wars theory says that they hold him back in his training and they treat him like a joke. So let's just start kind of like at the beginning with his mom died because he wasn't powerful enough. It's like, no, his mom died because he was on Coruscant, like half a galaxy away. Like,
yeah, you could say that, oh, they kept him away from there, but I mean, what else? What was he gonna do?
Well,
like even if he had gone back before this happened, his mom was living with the Lars, Owen Lars,
Klieg Lars.
Klieg Lars. Like he probably would have found her there. Oh, you're happy now, Mom. Oh, that's great. Probably would have left.
Yeah.
Right. And then she would have gotten kidnapped by Tuskens anyway.
Yep, exactly. Like that.
She lived on Tatooine. That's a hazard there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what? That's like, it's like in on Earth, it's like two things are guaranteed in life: death and taxes. Well, on Tatooine, it's like 2 things are guaranteed in life: sunburn and you might get shot by a Tusken.
Tuskens and crate dragons.
Yeah, Tuskens and crate dragons and Jawas stealing your droids.
Also yes.
So like that, I think is very pointless, and the whole thing about Anakin's visions is like they're of the future, but like the whole thing, especially once you get into episode 3, is, well, his visions in 2 are more of the future, but his visions in 3 end up directly influencing everything bad that happens in 3 and directly lead to Padme's death, because he sees this, thinks he has to prevent it, and then causes it.
Yeah, classic tragic irony.
And like that's supposed to be the point, which is a point that I'm going to address in the next point. But no, and then there's the next point in this one about how the Jedi hold him back and don't teach him what he needs to know. Like, I don't think that's ever been a thing. Like, Anakin, like, he excels at Jedi training because of his like inherent talents with the Force. He's able to like do really good at the training. So like,
yeah, the Jedi couldn't hold back Anakin if they wanted to.
Yeah, like he's like, there's lots of stuff in some of the stuff I've read where it's like, I think it's in the Jedi vs. Sith Essential Guide to the Force source book. Like, there's an in-character thing where they're like, oh my, Anakin is like really good at all this stuff, and he's like a natural talent, and he excels at like everything he tries. It's like, so how are they holding him back when they admit that he's really good?
Yeah, the holding back thing, I think there's a part in episode 2 where it's like right after Padme tells Anakin, Annie, you've grown up, and then he proceeds to like bitch about Obi-Wan. He says, he's holding me back, you know?
Well, and I think the big thing about like that is that's from Anakin's point of view. Like, of course he's gonna think that. Like he's a natural talent. So when he's getting taught the same lessons that everyone else and he's excelling at them, he's thinking to himself, he's like, yeah, I should be like learning more, but he's not, because he's getting the same thing as everyone else. That's like letting the kid who's really good at algebra 1 like just skip up to college algebra just because he can. It's like,
Right.
you still have to learn. And plus there's also the fact of maybe they don't teach him everything because he's very like immature and he has all these outbursts and stuff and he doesn't listen to his master. I don't know, maybe that could be why, but no, it's because the Jedi are bad.
Yeah. Also the whole treating him like a joke thing.
Yeah.
That just doesn't track for me. No. They don't treat him like a joke. He gets the best training with Obi-Wan. He's made a commander and a general in the Clone Wars. He's probably talking about Anakin not being made like a master, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone talks about, but like, and I've heard Star Wars Theory in other videos, so I guess it's not specifically related to this, but I've heard him talk about how Anakin should have been made a master because then all of this would have been averted. It's like, no, it wouldn't have. Because, or no, it's, that's a later point, but we'll get into the stuff about the archives later.
Yeah. Star Wars Theory did bring up the archives, which is from Legends, the Revenge of the Sith novel.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, so I guess Star Wars Theory's perfect version of Star Wars was one where Anakin got made a master and then he was able to go into the Jedi archives and learn how to save Padme, I guess. I still feel like it would have just ended up at the same place, really, Like, a lot of the time, Palpatine was kind of flying by the skin. Like, if you just take stuff from Legends and supplement it to the movies, Palpatine's kind of flying by the skin of his teeth a lot of the time. Like, he has a general idea of what he wants to do, but most of the time he's kind of just winging it, really.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Like, he definitely, like, he's winging on some of it and all that.
He's got big plans, but he can't foresee everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. So, like, and again, like, the whole thing where, like, he says the Jedi treat him like a joke, it's like, no, they don't. Like, they give, like, Star Wars Theory loves to talk about the Clone Wars TV show. Anakin gets a freaking Padawan. Like, why would they do that if it's not because they think he's a joke.
Now, don't think about that too hard, or the cognitive dissonance will like shoot your brain out of your skull.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've definitely made our point here on this one. So then next, as Star Wars Theory is going on, he basically just like the next maybe half a minute or so, he just spouts off more of this like generic anti-Jedi babble that we just, for some reason, we see all the time now in like the past, I don't know, I would say what, like, do you think like year and a half or so it's really started to like pop up like online, seeing a lot of it?
I feel like since The Last Jedi, that's where it came from.
I think I've even seen like, I think I remember seeing it like really sparsely like before that, and where people would say, oh, the Jedi are a cult, blah, 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 emotionless robots, blah, 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 and all that. Like, that's definitely been a thing forever, because that's, it's just something that people, like, erroneously believe, I guess. But I think you could be right. I think definitely, I don't even think it was after Last Jedi.
Think about the big line in The Last Jedi. The legacy of the Jedi is failure, and everybody took that and ran with it.
See, but I don't think so, because so many people, and even like Star Wars Theory does not like the sequels, so I don't think he's coming at it from that point. And I think a lot of people that do are just people who like watch the prequels and think that is and they think that's the Jedi Order. Like, they don't like, and obviously, like, we're going to talk about Legends for a second, but like, they don't know about like any of the other eras of the Jedi. They just see the prequel era Jedi, and they see Yoda and stuff giving out this advice that they don't like, because Yoda doesn't solve the problem. And this is one of the points that he makes, Star Wars Theory. He says that like Obi-Wan and Yoda give him this super bad advice. Like, he says that Obi-Wan gives him like bad advice about his mother, and Yoda gives him bad advice about his visions about Padme dying. Well, first of all, the whole thing in episode 3 where he's talking to Yoda and he's like, oh, someone close to me might die. Like, Anakin, well, obviously he has to be vague, but like, he's not telling Yoda who, he's not saying how, he's not giving any of this. So, of course, Yoda is going to give him the same advice that he would give any other Jedi. Like, if Joe Schmo Jedi walked up to Yoda and they're like, oh, Master Yoda, I had a vision of someone dying. Like, Yoda would give them the same exact speech. Like, he didn't give that speech to Anakin because it was Anakin. He gave it to Anakin because that's what Jedi are supposed to do. Like,
yeah,
this is where people
let
get
go of attachments.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like let go of attachments. And when people like see the Jedi and they read like the Jedi code, they take it as like this literal thing of, oh, there is no emotion. It's like, no, all that, like, yeah, you can interpret it that way at like face value, but if you do like a little bit more reading and understanding like the Jedi's role in the galaxy, you're going to realize that that means that they should not let emotions like dictate their actions. It's not saying you can't feel happy, you can't feel sad, you can't feel these things. It's that you're not supposed to let your emotions control you. It's like, that's why...
Yeah, don't let emotions cloud your judgment, I believe is the phrase that is often used.
Yeah, exactly.
And what happens to Anakin? What happens that emotions cloud his judgment?
Emotions create a lead wall over his judgment that nobody can see through or he can see out of. And I don't know, it's just like this generic like anti-Jedi stuff that like, I don't know. I don't know if he posts a lot of it. I don't really keep up with him, just like stuff that I end up seeing pop up.
You saw some of that in like the Clone Wars season 7, you know?
Oh yeah, you get a ton of that where people are like, oh, well, Mace Windu calls Ahsoka citizen. It's like, yeah, because she's not a Jedi. Like, that would be like the equivalent of like a general in the army seeing me on the street and I'm like, hey, can you tell me about this military briefing even though I'm not part of the army? He would say, oh, nope, sorry, citizen. And,
step aside, citizen.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't be mad because I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm not part of the, you know, I don't know. It's just, you see way too much of it today. We should honestly just make a video on that at some point and continue on to the next point before we make this 4 hours long.
Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about that for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, he says that all they, referring to the Jedi Council, care about is politics and adhering to the Senate. And it's like, oh, I wonder why they could be adhering to the Senate. It couldn't be because they're having a galactic war fighting against Count Dooku, who was a former Jedi and now he's a Sith Lord, and searching for a second Sith who is in the Senate. But like, that's kind of been the Jedi's thing, like, for a while, and I don't know where people get this thing that the Jedi play politics from. Like, is fighting in the war what he means by all the Jedi care about is politics? Like, I'm not sure what he means, because, like, Yoda's not, like, in the Senate hall, like, giving speeches.
Yeah, the Jedi got involved in the war because the Republic got involved in the war, and the Jedi are the guardians of the Republic.
Yeah, like, Obi-Wan says that in fucking the first movie. He's like, oh, for 1,000 generations, the Jedi have been guardians of peace and whatever. And it's like, yeah.
Justice.
Yeah. So, I don't get... Again, this is like another one of these things where people want to criticize the Jedi, but they're kind of pulling stuff out of thin air. Like, and yeah, they're going to adhere to the Senate because, like, the Senate makes the laws in the galaxy they live in. And it's like, yeah, the Senate does a lot of dumb stuff, but, like, guess what? The Jedi still have to, like, what are the Jedi going to do? Are they going to, like...
It's a very complex issue, you know? Like, the whole thing, like, if we just want to talk about the whole war is, you know, the Separatists are separating from the Republic, and the Republic wants to keep the Republic together. The Jedi have no choice but to, you know, go along with this, and they get entrenched in this whole thing, you know. I believe in the Revenge of the Sith novel, the war is referred to as a Jedi trap. You know, the whole thing is a Jedi trap.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I don't know. It's one of those things where people will basically, referring to the war, they'll be like, "Oh, if the Jedi are peacekeepers, why they fight war?" And they dumb it down to like its most basic argument, and they'll sit on that, and they think, well, okay, you should say your point that we had talked about earlier, where people go into it with their,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
People watch Revenge of the Sith with their headcanon and pretend to have a galaxy brain while they're like using their headcanon to make the movie make sense.
Yeah, and like that must be where people are getting all this stuff about Jedi doing politics and stuff from, because I mean, they're not even really political like with each other. Like the council ends up agreeing on everything like 90% of the time. So where are the Jedi playing politics?
Yeah, if you want to see like a better example of like the Jedi playing politics and do it like doing this whole thing where like they keep out of the war and do the peaceful thing, that would be in like the Knights of the Old Republic comics,
Yeah, and even
they do exactly that, and it's great.
Yeah, and even then, they're not playing politics with the Republic. Like, they don't have, like, Republic people there. They aren't going to the Senate. Like, they're doing it all, like, internally. And in the movies, in the prequels, we don't see this. Like, yeah, they confer to the Senate, and they confer with the Supreme Chancellor. But, like, of course they're going to give concessions to the Supreme Chancellor when he's like, oh, I think Anakin should do this and whatever. It's like, of course, like, yeah, they're going to listen to him because he's the president of the galaxy, basically.
Yeah, and this comes into the whole thing where the only reason Anakin is put on the council is because Chancellor Palpatine asks for it, at least in the movie, I believe. He asks for Anakin to be his liaison or something, his eyes and ears on the council.
Yep.
And in turn, of course, the council asks Anakin to spy on Palpatine, yada yada.
And I mean, yeah, I guess that could be seen as like playing politics, but no, it's like they're spying on someone because they're suspicious of his motives.
Yeah, I don't think that's politics. That's more like that's just strategy.
Yeah, it's just, because like they're like suspicious of why Palpatine all of a sudden, out of the blue, just asked for Anakin to be on the council. Like it's never, like they say in the movie, like it's never been done. Like no one's ever been like, hey, put my guy on the council because I said so.
Right. And Anakin has a little piss fit because he's put on the council as this, in this like honorary position, but they don't make him a master. Of course they don't make him a master. He's just on the council as a, as a peon or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and even then, I think this is a good point to bring it up. We should have brought it up in the last one, but we got a little sidetracked, so we had to stop that. But he brings up how it was this huge slap in the face for Anakin that he was put on the council but didn't get master. His immediate reaction to not getting master is why they did not make him a master. It's outrageous. Unfair. It's not fair. Oh my god, woe is me.
Yeah, he's not mature enough to be a master.
Yeah, he's not mature enough. He hasn't demonstrated like anything to make him a master other than he's good at fighting battles. Like that's if that's what he's bringing, like that's not it, because like that right there, his outburst in the council chamber should be a perfect example of he's letting his emotions cloud his judgment. Like, if he would have sat back and thought about it logically, he would have been like, oh, yeah, like, obviously they didn't make me a master. Like, I'm just, I'm here to, like, do my thing. And plus, in reality, if you think about it, really, it's Palpatine's fault that he's not made a master while he's on the council, because Palpatine asked for it, so he should actually be mad at Palpatine.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point about, his reaction being all the proof you need, really. Like, that right there.
Well, and if you want to even go worse on that, he has an even worse reaction in the book. In the novelization of 3, he's like, "Oh, I don't remember his exact words. I should have had it in front of me." But he's like something along the lines of like basically, "Oh, you'll answer for this," or something along that lines. Like he basically makes a violent threat to the Jedi Council.
Right. I don't remember. I remember it being a little bit cringy, but I don't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But even in the book, we get a little bit more insight into why he's mad, because he only wanted to be a master, because so he could gain access to the Jedi archives. But in the movie, it seems more like he's mad just because he doesn't have like the honorific title of master. Really, that's what it seems like.
Well, in the movies, that's 100% what you get at, because his whole thing is that it's never been done before where someone's on the council and they're not a master.
Right. He was kind of expecting to be made a master. He was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, like he definitely walked in there on his like high horse and he's like, "Oh, they're finally going to make me a master," when he hasn't done anything to deserve it. Besides like fighting in the Clone Wars. So I think that's definitely a good spot to stop for this fifth point here. So next he brings up the point of how Anakin has to sell his soul to the devil to get the power to save Padme. But literally after Mace Windu is shot out of the window and dies because he's dead. Stop theorizing that Mace Windu isn't dead. He's dead.
No, he's gonna have a gray beard and like one eye will be missing or something.
No, I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen. Mace Windu's dead.
He's been living in the Undercity for like 50 years.
He's in the cave with Noble Six.
He's been surviving on stuff that lives in the Coruscant Undercity. I don't know.
He's surviving on rats.
Sure, yeah, it's Coruscant rats. I don't know.
No, this has been, I don't know, this is going to be a side tangent, but like, I've been seeing so many bad theories on how Mace Windu's going to return, and people are like, Mace Windu's Snoke, he's definitely Snoke. Oh, he's going to come back in Rebels. And I remember my friend showed me this way back in high school or maybe it was freshman year of college. I don't know, whenever Rebels was going on, my friend shows me this terrible, awful fan art of Mace Windu. Have you ever seen it? He's like,
he's got like a gray beard and like one eye cut or something.
Yeah, he has like his gray beard, but it's like a rat tail beard that like goes down to his chest. He has like a tin can prosthetic arm, and it's terrible. And
no, I don't remember that.
Oh no, it's like I've definitely seen it like going around, and oh god, too many people think Mace Windu isn't dead. If they bring him back, it would be not very cool, in my opinion, because it would just be one of those dumb things where it's like, you thought I was dead, but actually I was hiding under a rock for the past 40 years. So, I don't know. That's my little thing on it. But no, as soon as Mace Windu is dead, Palpatine says, "To cheat death is the power only one has achieved. But if we work together, we'll find it.
I am sure we can figure it out eventually. Just throw some things at the wall.
I lost the recipe for immortality, but if we search my apartment hard enough, we can find my cookbook."
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, I do like the comparison he made, kind of like comparing, saying Anakin's like selling his soul to the devil a bit. I do like that comparison, but
well, it's not exactly like a hot new take.
No, but I've never heard it phrased quite like that. So.
Oh, really?
But, But I would say that like that line right there. Palpatine says that he basically lied to Anakin, right? If Anakin is this like dark side dude, he should have gotten pissed at Palpatine and demanded an explanation. Like, dude, I just freaking killed this dude to save you, and you're telling me you lied? Like, what? But instead he just eats it up like he's an idiot, and he just turns into Palpatine's bitch after that, basically.
Yeah, well, I think a point
and then 5 seconds later he's like plotting Palpatine's assassination or whatever.
Yeah, on Mustafar. No, I think the thing that people like, I don't know if it's them trying to read into stuff, but I think some of it might come from the Revenge of the Sith novel, where at the end of the novel, Vader basically is having like his little internal monologue about basically how the dark is all he has left and how like Sidious is all he has left. So I think people might read into that and stuff like that, and they see it online and stuff, that like at that point, after he kills Windu, he's like so devoted to Palpatine that it doesn't matter that he lied. But that's still such a lazy explanation for as to why Anakin didn't like just cut Sidious in half right there.
Yeah, like, you know, even in Star Wars theories, fan film, Vader, when he finds out that, you know, he lied about him killing Padme, whatever, he like attacks Palpatine and tries to kill him.
Yeah, so again, I think it's a blatant like I think what it is, it's okay, again, it's like what you said earlier. It's people going in with their headcanon thinking they're galaxy brain. Because all that is people trying to cover for George Lucas's writing at that point, because like they're going in and Lucas, like, how did George Lucas not think of that? Like, if anything, it would have made more sense if when Palpatine was getting fried, he's like, if he would have been like, I can help you try and save your wife.
Or imagine, like, you know, Anakin finds out Palpatine doesn't really know how to save Padme, and he just like attacks him, and Palpatine just like fucking just like beats him down with like Sith lightning or something like that, like forces him into submission or something,
or anything that makes sense. I don't know. It's just stuff like that where people are like making bad like fan theory headcanon explanations as to why it makes sense, but like this is such a big point that people like overlook, and that clearly Star Wars theories overlook, because Palpatine doesn't know how to save people's lives.
Yeah, it would seem that once you turn to the dark side, you lose all, you know, you lose all reason, you lose all ability to think clearly.
Yeah, and yeah, obviously that must be it. But like, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about this point, because I think it's just people trying to cover for bad writing, personally.
Yeah. My only little thing I would add is that, you know, Anakin's Fall is always one of those things where it's good outside of it, right? Like outside of Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's Fall is good, you know? Like if you read like in like any comics, canon or Legends comics, where, you know, Vader is like, or even like the novels, like Vader is like regretting Padme and he has all this regret. It's better, you know, in retrospect. It's better when you don't have all the details, you know? Because the details kind of mess it up a little bit.
Yeah, I could maybe see that, but yeah, I guess it's just, it is what it is, and it's not what Star Wars theory thinks it is what I would say. All right, so then he goes on to say, Star Wars theory goes on to say that Anakin is not evil at his core, and he's basically just doing everything out of pent-up anger. It's like, no. It's bad. Again, it's just bad writing as to why Anakin goes from wants to save his wife, which is understandable, to killing Mace, which is, you know, he's doing it because Palpatine says that he can help.
Yeah, but Anakin tried to do the right thing at first. He tried to turn Palpatine in. Yeah,
like he went back to the Jedi Temple he tattled on Palpatine. And like obviously then everything happens, but the first thing you see Anakin do is march to the Jedi Temple with the 501st Legion, go up the temple stairs and start shooting people. And then he walks into a room full of scared little children and he kills them. It's like, that's evil. Like, I get it, he's supposedly doing it because he cares about his wife, but if I kill 50 children to save my wife from dying, I'm evil. Like,
right. Like, how could you look at your unborn child after doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's like, I don't know. And like, again, like that's one thing. It's like Anakin embraces the dark side. Like, he becomes Vader. Like at that point, like once, you know, Palpatine does a thing. Darth Vader. Like, he's Vader at that point. Like, he doesn't really see himself as Anakin anymore, hardly. I know in the novel he does for a while, but by the end of it, obviously he's full on into Vader. And in, you know, his own internal monologues in later novels and comics and stuff, like, he's Vader. He's not Anakin.
Yeah.
But like,
he sees Anakin as a different person.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
but well, I would say my thing would be, he says Anakin is not evil at his core. That is true. If Anakin was evil at his core, then he wouldn't have been able to turn back to the light in Episode 6.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could see that as like a point, but like he's evil. He's still evil. Like, I don't know. It's like I said with my analogy, if you kill a bunch of kids to save your wife, like like it's like I understand that like sometimes there's room for black and white like nuances with morality and stuff, but killing kids, that's a pretty evil thing. And
What's your point there though, calling it evil?
well, because he says that he's not evil and he's doing it out of pent up anger. Like doing something like that out of pent up anger is evil though. So his own point is kind of counterproductive, I guess.
Yeah, and plus Anakin doesn't seem angry in that moment, Like he's doing some dark shit, but it's not like he's like lashing out of pent up anger. Like, oh, I just gotta kill all these kids. Like, no, he's doing what he thinks he needs to do, right?
Yeah, like he's doing what Palpatine tells him to do because Palpatine's his master now. He he says like he sold his soul to the devil. Like the devil's telling him what to do, and the devil tells him to kill kids. So I don't know. Like this whole point that he's doing it out of pent up anger, I guess, is the thing that like bothers me more.
He's so angry at the Jedi Order for years of taking care of him.
Yeah, for taking him off his crap hole planet and giving him a home and like friends and everything. Like,
but really, the reason he attacks the temple is because he thinks the Jedi are, corrupt and evil now because Palpatine said so.
Yeah, exactly. His new
something after that, I think something about all the Jedi need to be wiped out, and Anakin's just like, yeah, they do, or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like he agrees with Palpatine. Like and this is where, and this is I think the perfect point to bring it up. This is where people say that his fall is rushed in this movie because he goes from tattling on Palpatine because he finds out he's the Sith Lord, and then bam, as soon as he kills Windu, all of the sudden Jedi are now the bad guys. Like that's a 180 turn, going from trying to save the Jedi Order by turning in Palpatine to I'm going to kill Jedi children. Like that is where people say it's rushed and that it's not good because character-wise it doesn't make sense that he is so easily manipulated. It doesn't matter that he thinks Palpatine is his father figure or anything, because he's still telling him to do things that are so out of Anakin's character at that point. Like in the Revenge of the Sith novel, it opens up and the novel's like hyping Anakin up. It's like, oh, they call him the hero without fear, and like he's a hero, and yeah, he does some like dark stuff in the Clone Wars, but like he's not doing it because he hates the Jedi. He's doing it because he's fighting a war. Like again, like Anakin nowhere ever until like episode 3 does he have all these feelings of hating the Jedi, and that's why it's a bad fall and it's rushed.
Yeah, and I would say, and you're right. Like it's that. I think that scene in particular is where all the problems come from. Because it could have been done better. Like it's not all bad. Like after Anakin chops off Mace Windu's arm, he's in shock. He's like, what have I done, and all this stuff. And then
5 seconds later,
I pledge myself to your teachings and blah, blah, blah. Like no, like maybe like have him be in shock for a bit and have Palpatine like just start whispering sweet nothings to him and manipulating him and all this stuff. It's just a little bit more would have done a lot, I think.
Well, I think an even better thing that they should have done is they should have just not had Anakin go to the temple to kill the Jedi, sent the 501st to do it, and just send Anakin to go and kill the Separatists. Like, because then you're not trying to make it so Anakin all of a sudden is rushed into hating the Jedi. And then you could have had like, obviously I'm not a screenwriter, but like you could have had scenes or something or like dialogue between him and Obi-Wan where Obi-Wan's like, bro, they just murked the entire Jedi Order and you let it happen. And he could have been like, oh no, Sidious wouldn't do that. And then they fight or whatever. I don't know. They could have done it so much better. And Lucas didn't because he's not fair. He's not that great. And I don't know. Like
screenwriting wise, yes. But yeah, it could have been done better.
And again, character-wise, it just doesn't make sense that all of a sudden Anakin goes from point A of turning in Sidious to point B of killing children in the council chamber.
And literally one scene he goes from being, being a good guy and on the good side into being bad guy.
Yeah,
One
there's and then like you said, there's like 30 seconds of shock where he drops his saber, sits down, what have I done? And then by the end of Sidious's speech, he's evil. And it's just so rushed. And then I think that leads right into point 8 here. He says Mace Windu didn't make it easier for Anakin because Mace was going to kill Palpatine. Where, I don't know, and again, this is one of those things where I don't understand why people are so up Mace's short about wanting to kill Palpatine.
Yeah. One thing, they did try to arrest him.
Yeah.
They did try to arrest him.
They tried to peacefully arrest him, and then he does a fucking barrel roll and murks 3 Jedi Masters.
3 of the greatest blade masters in the entire order.
Yeah, he kills them in...
You should take him alive.
Yeah, like, literally, like... And I don't know, it's just... That is one of the worst... It's one of the worst takes that people, for some reason, have that, like, oh, Mace Windu shouldn't have tried to kill Palpatine. It's like, yeah, he should have. Palpatine is Hitler. He is the Hitler of Star Wars. Like, I don't get why people think that, oh, if Mace would have killed Palpatine, that would have been bad. It's like, no. The Jedi would have taken control of the Senate temporarily, ended the war, given control back to the Senate. Bam. Like,
yeah, it's fun in the moment to, like, philosophize about, like, ooh, this is taking the Jedi into some dangerous territory here. But really, Mace would have done the right thing. They weren't going to take over the freaking Republic. He would have Palpatine, and that's a whole, the whole alternate reality where Mace actually kills Palpatine. That's a whole another story. But
yeah, even
he was, for one thing, he was defending first after Palpatine kills everybody else. He's like defending himself with his life, and then and then he finally gets him down to that final thing. Why wouldn't he just kill him? Why wouldn't he not just kill this guy who was extremely dangerous?
Yeah, and it just doesn't work because Mace in that moment, Mace Windu is 1,000% right. It's like, this dude is the most evil person ever.
No one gets mad at Obi-Wan for chopping Maul in half in Phantom Menace.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, exactly. Like, no one gets mad when Vader kills Palpatine later. But for some reason, if Mace does it, oh, it's against the Jedi, the Jedi way, and it's like, no, the Jedi are defenders of the peace and defenders of the Republic, and he's the biggest threat to peace and the Republic. He literally started a war, and to think that, like, I mean, I guess whatever your thoughts on capital punishment are, like, I think we could agree that killing Palpatine would have been a good idea, because Mace makes the $1 billion point. He's like, he has control of the Senate and the courts. Exactly. And Star Wars Theory and other people that make videos like he does, they just harp and harp and harp on this point, but it's so pointless in my opinion, because Mace is right. He was doing the right thing. Like, and in his internal monologues in the novel, he's constantly talking about, like, oh, I love the Republic. I make sure to...
It's like his biggest weakness is that he loves the Republic too much.
Yeah, it's like he tucks his Republic flag into bed every night before he goes to bed. Like,
gives it a kiss.
Yeah, he gives it a little kiss and pats it and gets it some milk and cookies. And no, Mace loves the Republic, and he's not killing Palpatine out of, like, any kind of, like, anger. He's doing it because he is the ultimate evil. Like, I don't get why people are rooting for Mace Windu to not kill the bad guy.
Yeah, Mace is the man. He's the Jedi. Like, he may kind of get a little close to the dark side with a pad, but he's very much a good guy. He has the best intentions in mind for the Republic. Yeah,
exactly. And obviously, in the novel, we have the nice little scene where Palpatine makes it seem like the Jedi attacked him first, but one, Anakin doesn't know that. All he sees is, he walks in and he sees them fighting. He sees Mace disarm Palpatine.
Oh, that's right. Because Palpatine like records himself and does something to make the Jedi.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, the Jedi are attacking me, and then like ignites his lightsaber or whatever, and then turns it off, and yeah, so obviously Palpatine is able to manipulate the masses that way, but that has no effect on Anakin. And again, what this whole thing is supposed to be doing, it just rushes Anakin's fall, because all of a sudden, now, despite having a wife for, however many years, all of a sudden now he cares about the Jedi way. And again, obviously it's because he didn't want Palpatine to die, because Palpatine had sweet talked him into thinking.
Yeah. Anakin may say it's not the Jedi way, but in his mind, he's really thinking, if Palpatine dies, I'm not going to be able to learn shit.
Yeah, and so there's that. Like, yeah, from Anakin's point of view, yeah, Mace is not doing the right thing. But from the outside perspective, Mace is doing the right thing. Like, if you're looking at it objectively, Mace is about to kill an evil dictator who is going to try and kill all the Jedi and make the Republic.
Of countless billions, thousands and thousands of dead Jedi for sure.
Yeah, and then later on, Palpatine, well, I guess Tarkin, but Palpatine builds the Death Star, but, that blows up Alderaan and all that, and all the enslavement that happens with the Empire. If Mace killed Palpatine, bam, done, easy dub, good night. Like, that's it.
Right.
But no, we have to have this. We live in this weird reality where people think that the Jedi killing the Sith Lord is somehow a Jedi power grab. It's like, did Sidious manipulate people in the movie theater into thinking he's good somehow? Like, I don't get it. And, like, to go back to your point about people going into stuff with their headcanon and thinking they're galaxy brain, what I think that they're trying to do is, because obviously, as we know, the prequels do not have like the best reputation, like, because, well, justifiably so, because they're not that great. Like, I think they're enjoyable in like on their own, but like, would I ever voluntarily watch episode 2? No. Do I really want to watch episode 1 or 3? Not really. No. For you, yeah, but like, I'm not a huge fan of the prequels. But I think even you could agree that like the prequels aren't amazing to like a huge extent.
I can enjoy episode 1, but I realize all the flaws, most especially Jar Jar. Yeah. Episode 2, more so pretty there. Revenge of the Sith, again, I find it very enjoyable. I love watching that movie, but I realize all the flaws while I'm watching it. Doesn't detract from my enjoyment, but I'm not gonna like just say that they don't exist, because me saying that me pretending that a movie doesn't have problems or whatever doesn't add or detract from my enjoyment of it. Like, I can watch a movie and realize the flaws.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically one of those things, and it's not a great comparison, but it's the one that immediately popped into my head. Is like, people really like The Room with Tommy Wiseau, but it's a terrible movie. And I'm not saying that Revenge of the Sith is on the level of The Room by Tommy Wiseau, but like, it's the same general thing. Like I can watch The Room and like laugh at it, because it's flawed. But I can watch Revenge of the Sith, see the story, kind of appreciate what's going on, and like, I can watch it. And it's like you said, like, the flaws don't have to detract from your enjoyment of the film, because.
And I think there is a difference between headcanon and then you thinking about the movie in different ways. Like, when I watched Phantom Menace this last time, at the end I was thinking like, it's this big happy scene, where Boss Nass lifts up the thing and he's like, peace, and then just in the background Palpatine's just like, just standing there with like a shitty grin. I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah, like, you can definitely like notice good things about them, but like, what I think people are trying to do is trying to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, because they're trying to take these things that, they get criticized. Like, the prequels get criticized, and they should be on like valid points, like we've talked about, like Anakin's fall being rushed, like the stilted dialogue, like some of the emotionless acting that happens, like some of the bad story directions. Like, yeah, you can criticize these things. And I think it, in a way, sometimes I think people are trying, it's almost like a defense mechanism. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to think of reasons to enjoy this thing, when in reality, you don't have to justify why you enjoy a movie.
Right. Yeah. Like I just said, I enjoy watching The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need to justify that. A lot of people hate it.
Yeah, like I'm the same way. Like I if I'm in the mood, I can watch Phantom Menace. I would never go out of my way to watch it, but every once in a while I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I want to watch that. And I won't lie, like I have big nostalgia for Phantom Menace. I watched it. It was the first Star Wars movie I watched in theaters in I was, I think, 3 years old, because my parents were awful people who bought a toddler to a movie. But like I remember being in it. I remember like it's one of like my earliest memories was watching that movie. But like obviously as an adult now, I don't feel the need to defend that movie. And then obviously I saw the next two prequels in theaters, and it's the same thing.
Right.
Like I can appreciate them with their flaws, but I'm not going to sit there and create reasons for why they're actually good. I don't need to make a video saying I can change your opinion on Anakin's fall in 3 minutes, because in reality, like you can't really do it.
Kind of implies that everybody already thinks that his fall was bad or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, which and obviously like a lot of people don't, because you have thousands of people commenting on his video that he's right. But like those aren't people who had their minds changed. Like those were people who were already going into it like knowing that they like it, which is fine. Like you can like Anakin's fall even if it is rushed and doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like I appreciate a lot about the prequels. The Palpatine manipulation story is so good, and it's supported by so much of the comics and the novels. It's so good. I really enjoy that part of it. But the movies still have their flaws. Like you can't headcanon the shit out of a movie.
Yeah, well, and even the Revenge of the Sith novel, like we've talked about a couple times, like it has some cringy stuff in it. Like even the novels aren't safe. And the comics, obviously, they kind of just tend to hit it out of the park. But like I don't know, it's just like I said, I think people sometimes it's like a defense mechanism for them, because like I said, because they grew up seeing it, and now they're seeing, the previous generation who grew up with the OT, they're saying that the prequels weren't good, so they need, I don't know if it's like a validation thing where they need to feel validated, but it's just like, come on, man, you can like the movies, no one cares, no one's gonna break into your house and steal your Revenge of the Sith movie.
I think people just create this idealized version of the prequels and like the Clone Wars in their head where it all makes sense and connects and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. And I think, again, it ties in perfectly with your headcanon galaxy brain from earlier. So, yeah, no, so I think that about does it for me. Like, I've kind of said my piece on it and everything. So do you have anything more to add, do you think?
No, I think we pretty much, beat the tar out of this thing.
Yeah, so I guess the big important question that we posed at the beginning of the video: did Star Wars Theory change your opinion on Anakin's fall in 3 minutes?
No, certainly not.
Yeah, no, for me, same thing. It's an emphatic no. I went into it and I watched the video. It came out, I think, it came out on New Year's Day, I believe. I ended up watching it the next day, and I didn't agree with it then. I gave it another chance today, when I was just kind of like bumming around my house. And then I gave it another chance before we started recording. And all 3 times through, like, I didn't agree with it. I think his points are a little headcanon-y, are a little reading into things that aren't there, especially when you bring up stuff like Anakin's pent-up anger towards the Jedi, which maybe a little bit, sure, especially when you look at stuff like Episode 2 where he's mad all the time. But
yeah.
No, his reason for falling and for killing the Jedi, it's not because the Jedi held him back, it's because he's trying to save his wife, which then he ends up getting his wife killed, and that's supposed to be like the tragic element of the thing. Like Lucas says, I think in some of the behind the scenes stuff, he's like, oh, that's like a Shakespearean tragedy. But I think I'd rather read Shakespeare than Lucas writing. I guess that's just me, but like
Shakespeare in space?
Yeah, Shakespeare in space, yeah. But no, like I think that's the whole point, is that Anakin does all this stuff trying to save his wife and ends up failing because it's all his fault. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just like I'm sure everyone had to read it in high school, but it's just like Oedipus Rex. Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And,
Or Macbeth.
yeah, or like Macbeth. Like that's supposed to be the point. It's not he's doing it because he hates the Jedi, because the Jedi are corrupt, because the Jedi are evil. He's doing it to save the person he loves most in the galaxy now that his mother died, and he can't. And in doing so, he kills her. That is the tragic part of Darth Vader, is that he's put into this robotic suit of his own decisions. And like that's it. Like it's not like
inside a prison of his own making.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a really good way to put it. So I don't know. That's it for me. So unless we brought up anything there.
Yeah, I just want to say, watching the video, I was hoping that he would refute the famous scene, where Anakin, kneels before Palpatine and the subsequent child killing, but he kind of just glossed over that. So I wished he would have said more about that, and I think that's one of the big failings of the video, is that he doesn't even bring it up.
Yeah, and in my opinion, this could just be me, but I don't think that is a point that you can refute, because that is what that's the movie. That's what people say makes the fall feel rushed. It's not that it happens because he kills Mace Windu, it's because he goes from wanting to save the Jedi and Republic to killing children. So I think you're definitely right there. Like he definitely glossed over it. I don't know if he was avoiding it on purpose or anything. I won't make any assumptions based on that.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much my piece on the whole enchilada.
All right, so then with that, obviously just earlier today I had put out a video, so this one will be hopefully be up very soon. Hopefully early on the 5th of January. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, obviously drop a like on it. Give us your thoughts. Like if you enjoyed Anakin's turn, if you thought it was well done. Like I do enjoy seeing people's reasons why. Like obviously we're not here to like attack your opinions or anything. So like, if you want to like have a discussion with us, you can drop a comment down below. Tell us what you thought of it, if you thought it was good, if it was bad. And if you enjoy the content that we've been putting out, feel free to drop a subscribe to the channel. So until we see you next time, I am Cade signing off.
This is Keith. Later.